Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things health and nutrition. My name is Dr. Sarah and I am a naturopathic doctor. My main passion is skin health and skincare and of course the foods that we're eating. And one of the big things that really helped heal my body and heal my eczema was implementing more fermented foods in my diet. So today we are going to be making one of my favorite recipes for sauerkraut. And I'm so excited to share this recipe with you. So let's get started. Here's everything that you'll need to make your sauerkraut. 1 head of cabbage, 4 cloves of garlic, salt, mason jars with lids, a mixing bowl or pan, a digital scale, that's just optional, a knife or mandolin slicer. This sauerkraut is super delicious. I'm just using 3 ingredients, red cabbage, garlic, and salt. And I like my sauerkraut to be really crunchy and not mushy at all. So I have created the perfect recipe for a nice, crunchy, delicious sauerkraut. I have my purple cabbage here, as well as my sea salt, and I'm using 4 cloves of garlic. And I'm taking my cabbage, and another thing that cabbage is so great about is that it lasts for a really long time. I think this has been in my fridge at least for a couple of weeks, and it's definitely starting to dry out. So those dry parts, I'm just going to remove. And then if there's any other little spots that you want to kind of just cut off, you can go ahead and do that. But now what you're going to do is you're actually going to cut off this part because that is going to be important for later on in the recipe. So go ahead and slice the end off like that and save this piece. And this is also going to be a topper piece. We're going to save these 2 pieces. Okay, next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to weigh my cabbage. I have a digital kitchen scale here. And you don't need one of these. It just makes it a little bit easier. I do a 2.5% salt to cabbage ratio. So this just makes it a little bit easier. So I'm turning this on. And then I'm just placing my cabbage on there. And it weighs 2 pounds and 1.6 ounces, so just a little over 2 pounds. And if you want that in grams, that's going to be 952 grams. Another way to check the weight of your cabbage is when you go to the grocery store. Normally it's in bulk, and so it should say the net weight in pounds. So that's another way to know how much your cabbage weighs, is to check your receipt. So now for a little bit of math. So mine was a little over 2 pounds, 952 grams. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. 952 grams. I'm doing a 2.25% here. So 952 times 0.0225, and that's going to be 21 grams. So that's how many grams of salt you want to be doing. And there's about 6 grams of salt in 1 teaspoon. So I'm just going to divide this by 6. And that equals 3.57 teaspoons. So I'm going to be doing just maybe slightly over 3.5 teaspoons of salt for about a 2-pound cabbage. All right, now let's get to chopping up our cabbage. What I like to use is usually a mandolin slicer because it gets nice even slices of my cabbage. I just usually do that, I think on 2 or 3 setting. I'll have to check just to make sure. But if you don't have a mandolin slicer, you can easily use a nice sharp knife, and that's what I've done a lot of times before I got my mandolin slicer. I actually picked this up at a garage sale a couple months ago for $3, so I've been using this now. All right, let's get chopping. Okay, I've added my last quarter of the cabbage. Now I'm gonna add my last half teaspoon of salt. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'm just using Himalayan salt right here. That's just my preference. Now I'm gonna mix this. And then one of my tricks to crunchy sauerkraut is actually not to over mix it or over massage it. I just do kind of enough to work the salt in. So I do use my hands and I am kind of massaging it like this, making sure the salt gets evenly spread out as well as the garlic. Okay, once I've massaged that, really maybe for like a minute or so, now I'm gonna add it to my glass mason jars here. And as I do this, I am pressing this in so that it's nice and compact. Compact. You know what I mean? Get that all in there, really press it down. And I also like using the wide mouth mason jars. It's just easier to get the sauerkraut in there. But if you only have the regular mouth, then that'll work just fine too. It's just gonna be a little bit harder to press it down. But if you have a tamper or something like that, that can work too with the regular mouth mason jars. Okay, so this is what our jars look like. And now what I'm going to do is, you may notice that there's really no liquid in here. There's no liquid line coming up. And what I like to do, another thing that keeps my kraut crunchy, is I just add filtered water. Doesn't take too much. And now my little jar. And then from there, we're gonna take our cabbage scraps. So this was the end piece, and then this was that other leaf. And I am just going to place this on here. You want all of the cabbage and the garlic and everything submerged under the water. And I'm gonna do this one now. And that's definitely gonna spill over, but whoopsie. You just want it to all the way pressed down. So careful, this part might get messy. Press it as far down as you can, like that. And then sometimes too, what I do is I'll use like a weight. So I just use a rock that I found at the beach, a clean rock. What I'll do, I'll just show you, because you really don't want much space at the top. So I'll put the bag over it like this, and then I'll put the rock on top to weight it down, and then I will put on my lid. Like that. And then same thing with the other one. I put a clean bag over the top like this, and put the rock just to weight everything down. And this is messy, but that's okay. Yikes. Just so I don't make a mess on the floor. Try not to add too much water in the beginning, because you really are squishing everything down. This is just full, but in another day or two, it's gonna naturally shrink a little, so then I'll be able to press it down and it'll be fine. Okay, so then from here, I'm just putting my sauerkrauts on a plate, because they will continue to bubble, kind of spill over the top as the fermentation process starts. So this is what they're gonna look like. They're gonna sit on here, and I let these ferment for 10 days to 2 weeks. Usually after about a week or so, I'll try it and see how it tastes. You can let them ferment longer or just finish them after a week if that's your preference. And then after that, this is what it's gonna look like. So as you can see, the color changes to this lighter one, the purple and the white mixed together to make this pretty pink color. And yeah, so this is what I have left from my last batch, so I'm definitely needing more sauerkraut. And it is just so delicious. That is what it looks like. This sauerkraut is so delicious on salads, on stir fries with rice and avocado. Really anything, you can use it as a nice little side. I also like having this with my eggs. I'll do like a little veggie stir fry with eggs and put some sauerkraut and avocado in there, and that's just delicious. It is so cost effective to make your own sauerkraut. For this amount of kraut, which was about 2 pounds, that's just gonna be a little over $3. for the cabbage that I got at my natural grocery store, organic cabbage, and it's producing this much, still dripping, this much sauerkraut, which is probably about 3 times as much as like a normal jar this size that you can get at the grocery store. And my grocery store charges about $8 or $9 for organic sauerkraut, sometimes even 10. So I'm getting all of this sauerkraut for a little over $3, and I think it tastes a lot better than the store too. So, and it's just really satisfying to make your own thing. So this is now the next day, and that's how much water has spilled out of my sauerkraut jar. So I'm just going to empty out that water from the plate and kind of wipe it down, and then just let it continue fermenting. And there it is, all cleaned up. Okay, it's now day 4 of my sauerkraut fermenting here, and I just wanted to show you something. So what happens usually around this time is some of the water starts to drain out, and it's not quite as full up there. And you'll also kind of see some of the bubbles. That's normal. So here you can see this is getting a little bit discolored. And I'm just gonna remove that. It just looks weird to me. But this is because this sauerkraut is not underneath the water. So what I do with that is just pour a little bit more water on the top, because you really want all of these submerged underneath the water. Like that. Place this back on here with my rock and seal that back up like that. That's going to be it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions or any confusion about the calculations. I love math, so I can help you out with that if you need. But again, I use a 2.25% ratio of salt to cabbage. So I hope you enjoy. Let me know if you try making this recipe and how it turns out for you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye! Mint is seriously so good.